Hello everybody, this is Lubun here with the first of the series of sort of experimental speed paints I'm going to be doing to try and sort of spice things up. This is a discussion on the somewhat recently released, it was in the last 2 months, that's recent to me. Regardless, it's going to be about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. I thought this might be a fun thing to discuss, and as you can see in the background, there's a bit of a fun idea to the speed paint itself. Just to sort of explain that a little bit before we sort of ignore that-ish. Basically, while I was browsing on Twitter, I found this maid tier list that should be popping up on the screen and also in the description by Maho Shoujo Rose. Yeah, Maho's always the weird thing for me to pronounce. Regardless, that is the person who made this sort of like silly tier list with characters as maids, and in the top tier was Isabelle, Luigi, and Lucina, and I was like, oh, I gotta draw something about this, so that's what I did for that. And just to sort of give a disclaimer before we actually jump into things, I'm going to be talking about like pros and cons and stuff like that, but anything that like is under like a pro category or con category, it's not like, oh man, this is my opinion and you should follow my opinion, otherwise you're wrong. Like, I get that some people like different things than I do, so yeah, let's just jump into things. So overall, like, I really do like Smash Brothers just as a series. I've been playing it since Melee. That was one of my first games I ever had. And Smash Ultimate is actually a really good one for the series as a jeez, what am I saying? Smash Ultimate's good. I really like the character selection. Like, there's a lot of good characters that they brought in, and also the fact that they have a bunch of characters coming back is really nice. It was really nice to see Snake back. I wish they had some of the codec stuff, but what can you do with the situation behind that, with the Japanese voice actor unfortunately passing away and all that, so I can see why they would do that. I like the Inklings, and Isabelle's a fun character to play as. I might be biased because I love Animal Crossing, but regardless, Link is fun. Like, I've always been a Link main. I say main like that because he's one of the 3 that I play often, but I really do like the remote bombs. Like, it sort of gives a interesting feature to him that hasn't really been utilized, and I wish that they hadn't changed his costumes, because like some of his new costumes are just kind of because they don't ever really match, but that's beside the point. That's just me being aesthetically annoyed, I guess. I didn't know how to word this one like in my notes. I just have it as play feel. They do a lot of like tiny things that are really nice for this new one. Like, oh, they have like the stuff where you zoom in on a character when they get hit, and it's all dramatic, and just picking characters and stuff is real, like, it feels nice in like menus and stuff. Again, it's a little bit weird of a bullet note that I put on there, but it just feels like really polished. Yeah, that's probably a better word that I'm looking for. And also just like Smash as a portable game is nice, because like I don't have a TV set up in my room, so if I want to just play Smash Brothers, like I'd have to go down a couple flights of stairs in order to play Smash Brothers before, but now I can just sit on my Switch and play it and not have to worry about like a giant bulky Wii U controller or trying to set up a TV. I mean, there was the 3DS one too, but like the 3DS one didn't feel as nice as this one. I wish I knew why. Like, I don't think there was too much different with the 3DS version compared to the Wii U version, other than like the graphics. It probably was that, which is weird because I'm never really that big on graphics in the first place, but regardless, I like having a portable Smash Brothers. The classic modes for the characters are pretty nice, like how they're like themed around like fighting certain characters and specific orders and all that. I really like that touch. Having some bosses is super nice, because like I'm always like about cinematics and stuff being really dramatic and all that. And it was really nice to have like Ganon as a fight. And should I be saying, I mean, it's not really a spoiler because like it's not like they're super big bad guys or anything, and it makes sense to mention that they're boss battles. But yeah, there's Ganondorf, there's Giga Bowser, Dracula was one I wasn't expecting, but was pretty cool. Of course, Master Hand, but like, he's always been the boss, so it kind of makes sense for that one. But yeah, the classic modes are really nice, and speaking of the cinematics that I was talking about earlier, the camera is so cool. Like with the replays and stuff, how you can like move it around and while action's playing, do that. I love it. Like back when in middle school and high school, like machinima always fascinated me, and just seeing some of the stuff that people have been doing with the new camera is just like, it really makes me want to try it. I mean, maybe I might try it in the future, who knows, that might be something to play around with. So if you see a video about that on this channel in the future, don't be too surprised, because that might be happening. Now, while I really like Smash Brothers, there's also some things that like I personally didn't like. I think my biggest complaint, which is unfortunate because of how much I liked similar features in previous games, was the World of Light settings. Or World of Light setting, just World of Light in the adventure mode sort of thing. It really felt kind of repetitive and obnoxiously difficult at some points. It's literally just the spirit fights, you know, with the spirit board and all that. It's just placed onto a map. And like, once I figured that out, it took some of the genuinity. There was literally one fight where I fought someone on the World of Light map, and then went and saw them on the spirit board and fought them there, and it was the same fight. And I was just like, oh, that's kind of lame thinking about it. But it just felt really repetitive and a slog to get through for some points. Like, I literally can't do more than a couple of characters at a time. It's just like, I want to get to the stuff that interests me, like the cutscenes that weren't really apparent. Like, reading interviews about like, oh, hey, that would take a while if it was this many characters. Like, I get it. I get that they had to cut some corners with that one, but just like, it was just disappointing to me how they like couldn't think of some way to like maybe introduce different characters at a time, or use the pre-rendered cutscenes that they've literally been doing and stuff like that. So yeah, that was just kind of disappointing to me. Kind of getting a little more onto that, because like now I'm just thinking about it even more, is just like, because to me the cutscenes were sort of the reward for getting through levels and all that. So the really like minor amount, like, what was that, like, I remember seeing one of those videos where they put all the cutscenes in one. I think it was like 15 minutes. Like, seeing that little amount of cutscenes, and most of it being the opening cutscene that we'd watched before the game was even released, it just didn't have much of a reward, except for, hey, did this fight, here's a spirit that you can't really use that much. And I guess that was another thing that disappointed me, was the spirit modes. Like, the spirit battles were just real, like, the spirits for the spirit battles were just used for the spirit battles in the World of Light. Like, it was just sort of a self-contained thing for the most part. Like, literally the spirits didn't have that much functionality. It's fun, like, if you wanted to have, oh man, every character can swim, and so you make a thing where all the characters can swim forever. Like, that might be interesting, but otherwise, there isn't that much you can do with them. And it was kind of like how the stickers, or, oh, what was the thing for Smash 4? They did a similar thing where, like, you could, like, bolster fighters with something and give them specific, maybe it was just, no, yeah, that was the custom fighters. Regardless, like, it's just one of those things that they never really used for that. I know I'm probably, like, the 7 millionth person to complain about this, but I really don't like how they sorted the fighters on the character select screen. Like, instead of having them by series, it's by when they join Smash Brothers. And it makes it really hard to find who I want to play sometimes. Like, I'm not really used to looking for, or when I'm picking a character, I'm not used to thinking, I want to play as Marth, so I have to remember that he was exactly the 9th, or whatever number he was, person to join Smash Brothers. Like, no one ever thinks about it like that. They're thinking, oh, I'm looking for Bowser. He's probably next to Mario, except he's not next to Mario because he's with all the Melee people. Or I want to play as Greninja, so I'm going to look for other Pokemon, but Greninja's by, like, Bayonetta or something like that. And it's just really convoluted how you have to find different characters. And this is really minor, because, like, I didn't mention this before, but the stage hazard toggle thing, I love the stage hazard toggle, and, like, how you can not have certain hazards, like, affect. I keep saying, like, basically, I did it again. I enjoy not having stage hazards, like the pink, what is it? I don't know what it's called. The pink thing on Newport City with like the duck on its head. I enjoy not having that thing come up and basically wreck house for no reason other than it's Newport City. I like turning that stuff off. But I wish it was something you could toggle, like how you could toggle the Battlefield and Omega versions of a stage, or even the music. It would be so much easier to play different stages how you want to play them if that was just a feature you could toggle before picking the map, but also after picking the rule set. But I mean, for the most part, those cons are just like about stuff that isn't the main part of the game. I really like the Smash Brothers, except for the few minor things, but like, if I could stop saying like, that would be really appreciated, brain. But this is the problem when you don't actually write out a script for your videos. Because I think I mentioned this in the beginning, is that I just have bullet points. I think that's what I've been doing for these videos for a while, but that's getting off topic. Now, just because this video is coming out in a magical time where the DLC hasn't entirely been revealed, like there's still 4 characters that we don't know of, there's 5 stages, and I'm not even going to talk about the music because I don't know music for basically everything, but I just wanted to talk about some of my predictions for the DLC and stuff I'd like and all that, because, well, it's kind of nice to think about, and I don't know what I was about to say there, but yeah, it's just nice to think about. So of course Joker's going to be in Smash, and while I haven't played the game, I have watched it, so I know a little bit about his character and all that. I'm not gonna like comment on moves for any of my speculated DLC stuff, but whatever, it's not something that I can really help because I'm very, very casual when it comes to some games. But I'm trying to think about a good stage based on what I've seen, and the ones that I was thinking, it's hard to pick a stage from Persona without thinking of some of the iconic places you visit a lot. And I know I've seen the coffee shop that his dad sort of runs. It's one of the most iconic or most visited places in the game. There's also like the Velvet Room, which I just wrote down as the jail thingy at first before I had to like really quickly look up what it was. That might be a fun place to sort of have characters in the background or something like that. And maybe even just like a stretch of like the main city, because I know you traverse the city a lot. I don't know if any of the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I know you're going into the like desires or whatever of some of the characters you're going to basically face. And I can't remember what it's called when they do that and they like go into like the alternate like sort of warped reality places. One of those might be interesting, but I feel like they would go with something a little bit more basic, just because, like, if you go for something big and dramatic, it might not be as easily recognizable as some of the other locales that are sort of in Persona 5. Now, I guess I should probably preface this with saying, hey, this might be a spoiler, but it also might not be because it's speculation, but they did data mining and stuff like that, so if you don't like data mining and all that stuff, you should stop listening right now. And I don't know why I'm doing finger guns when you can't see that. But basically, the name Brave, or I guess it was the Japanese name for the word brave. Regardless, that was a name from a data mine that happened. And some people are saying Dragon Quest because the main character is Erdrick, which is also Yushu, which translates directly to brave, and there was also a picture, which I haven't seen the actual picture of, but I saw it in a Game Informer, or I think it was Game Informer. I'm really just remembering this one off the top of my head, but it basically had Kirby with a shield, and they were like, okay, Kirby and a shield, that means this character. I don't really know that much about Dragon Quest as well. I should, because it seems like an interesting series, but whatever. I mean, that's kind of what I've started thinking, just because it makes sense with the character name and also the shield. One of the things that I wrote down before learning about the shield thing was that it also could be a Bravely Default character. Can't go into more detail about that. Also, Octopath Traveler, since it was by the Bravely Default people, and they had such a big Nintendo push, but again, I feel like it makes more sense for it to be Dragon Quest based on what it has been said. And I also couldn't give a guess of the stage or anything like that, because I don't know anything else about Dragon Quest. And I also don't know any of the other three, because like it's kind of been up in the air after Joker was announced, of all people, about who could be in the Smash Brothers game. So I don't know who the other three actual DLC people would be that could be introduced. Now, just for the rest of the video, I'm just going to talk about some of the characters that I'd like, just because I think it would be fun to talk about, and it gives me more of a chance to talk about, like, some of the games that I've actually played, and yeah. So if I had to choose one character, and only one character to put into Smash Brothers, it'd be Professor Layton from the Professor Layton series, obviously. He's kind of a character that I feel like could have a really versatile sort of playstyle, so there's been points in the game and also the movie where he's used a sword, so you can make him one of the sword fighters that love to show up in Smash Brothers. You could use puzzle pieces and puzzles in some manner, like maybe even as a final smash. I feel like there's a lot of different ways that you could sort of fit Professor Layton's like different mannerisms and what he does into a Smash Brothers character. I mean, it would be complicated to do, and I could see why, because he's not really known for being a fighter, but then again, neither is the Villager or Isabelle or the Wii Fit trainers, so you never know with some of these sort of characters. And the nice thing about Professor Layton is his art style in his games might actually be a really fun thing to play around with. I couldn't name one off the top of my head, but I know that, like, just playing the games, there are some settings that I think might be cool to see translated into a stage. I'll probably throw some pictures up just to sort of illustrate what I mean, but I think that might be really cool to include as well, and also just having Professor Layton music in Smash would be really cool. So another one that I think would be fun, and I know people like to meme about this character, but I'd say Sans from Undertale would actually be a really fun one. Now, I think a lot of my push for wanting this character in there is that it would be an indie character that somehow gets into Smash Brothers. Like, we haven't really had any indie characters as a playable character. We've had Shovel Knight as an assist trophy, but that's about it. And I think Sans would probably be a good fit. There's some memorable locations for the stages, like Snowden or the ruins, and well, a lot of people like to sort of theorize that, oh man, it's like a genocide run sort of playstyle where you summon the blasters and use the bones and stuff like that. I think it would really be fun to see him with a sort of like a prank-based attack system, because he does like to prank Frisk or your character throughout the entire time you see him, so to be throwing whoopee cushions and stuff like that, and sort of give him a unique way of fighting. I mean, the bones could be fun too, I feel like, but it would be really interesting to see a character that has more of a silly attack style, I feel like. At the very least, I feel like his final smash could be very easily based on a genocide run of Undertale, but maybe that's just me. So just for some other indie developer picks, which I say that, but my first one isn't really an indie character anymore. I feel like Steve from Minecraft would be an interesting one to see. I understand why, like, he wouldn't be. He's kind of, like, not really in the sort of art style, but again, they've kind of fit a lot of different things in the art style that don't really click, so I can see why that one could go either way. Plague Knight would be I feel like would be an interesting one. We already have Shovel Knight as a trophy, so it would make sense to have a Shovel Knight rep actually as a playable character. And I also really like his design, but hey, that's kind of I mean, I like Plague Doctors, so what you gonna do about it? Hollow Knight might be a fun one as well. But regardless, I think just having any indie developed character be in Smash Brothers would be a fun thing and sort of show that, hey, Smash Brothers is for everyone and not just Nintendo and big characters from other developers. And the next one I have on my list is Amaterasu from Okami. I haven't played Okami, so I can't really comment on stages and stuff, but I have seen videos and screenshots and people talking about like the art style and all that. And I feel like that would be interesting to have sort of an ink, but not Splatoon ink, like drawing ink based fighter. I feel like there would be some great music with that, and just based on the art style, I think a stage based on Okami would also look really cool. So not everyone might know this character, but Lemery from Puyo Pop. I'm only barely into the game because of this particular character, but I think it would have a unique fighting style just because of like the Puyos themselves being able to be used, and maybe even just like magic in general and stuff like that. There are some interesting stages you could have based on some of the more iconic locales, like, I can't remember, there's a school. I know there's a school. Even though he's not like the main character, maybe like Arle or Amity? Yeah, Amity or Carbuncle might be more of a normal one to pick for that. I feel like a Puyo Pop representative would be an interesting choice for Smash Brothers. And finally, because I keep seeing them pop up when speculating for Smash Brothers stuff, I feel like the Chorus Kids would actually be nice. I haven't played a lot of Rhythm Heaven, but I feel like, again, there would be some really fun sort of movesets that could be had and really interesting options for stages. Maybe even like a morphing stage or something like a WarioWare stage where like you go in and then you have a little thing happen and then you go back out, and etc, etc. I guess mostly the reason that I thought that one might be cool is because I keep seeing people like talking about them, and while I wasn't originally on board with it because I was like, oh, that's kind of a boring choice for Rhythm Heaven representative, I kind of slowly got more into it, and they have a cute enough design as is, so yeah. But I think that's about it for my Smash Brothers discussion. I apologize if any of it was a bit rambly. I'm doing this basically in one take with just bullet point notes, which at one point, I think probably for this series in general, and I am going to be continuing this one with releases that I want to talk about. But regardless, for this series, I know I'm going to probably start writing actual scripts for it, because just sort of rambling and going off of my notes is a little bit difficult, and also includes a lot of ums, like, and so's. Regardless though, if you wanted me to talk about another series or another game, or even just do more stuff like this where I just give my opinions about different things, mostly video game related, then let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed the drawing in the background. I actually thought it turned out pretty nice, and not to pat myself on the back or anything, love how Luigi turned out. I don't know why he's my favorite one out of this sort of selection, but also like I'm very biased towards Luigi, so it could just be that. Regardless, there will be links in the description if you want to check out my Twitter or my Tumblr, where the full image will be posted. And I will see you around. So you have a nice day. Goodbye.